Hi, I'm Greg from RV Haulers. This is the RV hauler we've named Rodeo. This one came to us from Texas. It's being customized for Sabrina and Justin in New Mexico. They are competitive rodeo athletes, and we've got a different bed design that we're going to be putting on this truck. This is a Volvo 630. You'll see that it's got the fuel tanks and steps exposed. So we're designing a different bed to accommodate carrying some hay. We've got a headache rack. We're going to be using a different hitch mechanism. We're going to be using a gooseneck hitch on this one. But let me show you how this truck looks after singling just before it goes for bed building. So, as you can see, we've removed one of the axles. This truck has been singled at a 227-inch wheelbase, and what it's done is we needed to have a 5-foot storage box in between the fuel tanks and the rear axle, and that gives us just enough space to get that 5-foot box should be coming right back to this yellow line, leaving us enough room to get our arms in there if we ever have to chain up. Some of the other things that we've done is, of course, we've filled all the remaining holes with frame grade bolts. It's all new hardware, and we've done some custom work back here with the leveling valve that I'll show you. So here we are on the other side. We're looking at this from the passenger side of the frame. So there's our sleeper to the front, and we are trying to make this bed as short as we can. We're going to try to get the hitch point right in here for the gooseneck. We're going to try to bring it as close as we can up towards this torque arm. But one of the things we had to do is we've done a lot of figuring here with this leveling valve. Now, the leveling valve had actually failed. It was leaking. So we've got a new one sitting here, and you'll see that we've changed the leveling valve so that it goes off the front edge of this cross member, and we've also tucked it up as close as we can. Now, this truck is, when it's aired down or aired up, this just clears everything here. We've got, if you look, we've got about 3/4 of an inch of clearance, so we do have some movement. But what it allows us to do is the plate that's going to support the gooseneck ball that's going here, it'll be able to come down nice and low in between the frame rails and get the proper hitch height that Justin needs for his living quarters horse trailer. Now, some of you eagle-eyed folks out there are going to notice that the drive shaft isn't here yet. We've done the careful measurements. We're actually expecting it to be finished here shortly. But as you look around, you'll see that we've got all new fittings wherever we can. We've done new air lines. Here's our new air lines that go to the brake pots. And, trying to run everything nice and tidy. You'll see, too, that we like to really groom our wires so that if you're ever trying to trace something like this green air line, it's not all knotted and like some kind of spaghetti diagram in there. You're able to trace these wires on the outside and follow them wherever they go. So everything has been tied up nice. You'll see that a lot of our wiring we've put inside a loom just to protect it from any of the road debris that's going to be coming up as Justin and Sabrina head down a few gravel roads. So continuing around Rodeo, I want to show you the airbags on the back of the sleeper. Now, when you look at these airbags inflated at the normal height, you would think those airbags look pretty good. Let me show you. I'll go over Nate here. That airbag looks pretty good. Now, what you do to check them is you remove this little leveling valve. You see how it attaches to that pin there normally. So we pulled it off, and we're going to overinflate the airbags. And look at what we find. So even a truck this young with 150,000 miles on it, there's that airbag. Take a look at the bottom edge of this one. It is surprising how worn those can get in a short period of time. So we're going to lift the sleeper up, struggle to get those airbags out. They can be a real job sometimes. And we'll be putting in brand new airbags. So here's how we're going to get these out. We've inflated the sleeper up. We've put a steel bar to distribute the weight across the bottom of the sleeper, one between the frame rails, and we're going to, we've gotten the pressure out of the airbags now, and we're going to work at hopefully getting them out through that little hole next. While we're working on the sleeper airbags, let me show you the new airbags that we put on the back here of Rodeo. The reason is, again, when these airbags were deflated at a normal pressure, you could not see. These are the airbags that were on the truck. And take a look, they're all really checked, all 4 of them. So they warranted getting replacement as well. Okay, because the camera is on, this is working really well. Normally, there's corrosion and junk all on the top of this, and it is a bear to get these things out of there. But wait, we still have one more to do. I think Nate was saying the record for replacing these airbags has been an hour. Sometimes it's been as much as 4. Let's not jinx ourselves. Okay, we just did a little bit of editing for language there because of our sensitive ears. We'll resume. Look at there. Now we determined with Rodeo that the shocks were good. You'll see the custom bed that we're going to design actually is going to leave some space in here. So if we ever have to get in and do those shocks later, we're going to have a decent amount of space. But we tested the shocks, and the way to test the shocks, I won't do it because Nate's working right now, is you get a hold of the truck from the side and you rock it. You want to see where those shocks stop the oscillation very quickly. In the case of Rodeo, shocks are still working, but also because we know we have good access to them later on, we're going to leave them in place.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. Because the camera was running. That's why it did it.
Try it next time, see how that works.
Done. And sign of a job well done, our parts left over. So another little trick to this whole process of changing the airbags is, you'll see evidence of it here. Take out these little plastic covers and a few days ahead of time spray some penetrating oil down in there and get it on the top of that bolt so that it works at some of the corrosion. I think that's why it went so well, Nate. Show you what we've done in the jockey box. So we've finished our wiring of the jackalope. We've got the lid off of it right now, but we've got it integrated into the brake controller, and of course these are the wires that lead out to the 7-way RV plug that's on the back of the truck. Here inside the truck we've finished the installation of our direct link NE brake controller. So we've gone with the higher model brake controller as a standard now. The NE model is one that's capable of supporting anti-lock brakes on trailers. So by default we just go with a little bit more expensive one so that if you ever upgrade your trailer, you're covered and ready. And while we're at it, oh good, parts are flying. We've finished cleaning up the back of the sleeper, so getting all the commercial equipment off here that we no longer need. We needed to get brackets off and a lot of these support or holders that we no longer require. So we'll put everything back with a little bit of rubber grommet in behind them so that they stay weather sealed as well. Taking off that upper bracket leaves some bolts going in, so we're siliconing the holes to make sure there's no chance of a leak. So a little hint about dealing with these satellite wires that Nate's addressing right now is it is not a good idea to just snip that plug off. Sometimes those satellites have been integrated into the wiring harness of the truck and there's still power to that plug. So it's wiser to just push that plug back into the sleeper rather than snipping it. If you snip it, you could have exposed wires, a hot wire, a positive wire, and a ground wire, creating a fault in your wiring harness, which is not going to be fun. So Nate's just cleaning up the wire, and we're going to push that plug through the grommet back into the sleeper and replace the plug. Justin also wanted us to, okay, don't tell him, this is a surprise. He didn't like how the exhaust stack stuck up so much higher than the sleeper. So don't tell him, but we're going to shorten it. Wait a minute, he's probably going to see this video. Okay, Justin, we're shortening your exhaust stack the way you wanted it. You need to take a little bit off there. Get it more level with the top of the cab. Hey Nate.
Yeah.
Say fee fi fo fum.
No.
Oh.
Sorry.
New drive shaft. New U-joints. With this specific SPL, we had to go with a new yoke on the front end as well. Now that the new drive shaft is going in, one of the final checks we're going to do is check our drive line angles. There's some parameters, given certain RPMs, how sharp or soft of an angle we are allowed to have on our U-joints. And by moving the axle, of course, our angles are all quite different. We're going to be using an online splicer tool here to check that, given the RPMs we're going to be running, that the U-joint angles are going to be within spec. So here we are, we're going to be using a magnetic angle finder, and you can see that the gradations are very, very fine on here. We're going to be magnetically putting it on the drive shaft and measuring different angles from all the way from the transmission to a carrier bearing or a steady bearing here right through to the angle that's formed at the rear axle. We'll make sure that they're all within spec. So here's our drive shaft angles. We're 1, 2, and 1. And here's the rules, is you want to have it, depending upon your RPMs, you want to be, less than any of these numbers. Now we're going to be running at the max kind of in this zone, so we want to be less than 6 or 5 degrees. With us being 1 and 2, we're good. And there's some basic rules on this website as well. I'll put a link to this website on the screen. But so we should be, we have rules about what each of them should be at either end, and really for vibration free we want to be no greater than 3, and with our angles between 1 and 2 we're good.